that Tommy's story is so, I hate to say salacious. There's just layers upon layers, and it comes from every angle, and then it gets bigger than just Tommy. It gets into AIDS and HIV research, matriculates over to COVID. Then you have the underbelly of boxing and how you can basically whitewash a man from the history books, deny him the Hall of Fame, which he is so rightfully deserving, yellow wash his wife in all the things she has done, promote the people that didn't really know him but will toe the party line and say the right narrative. By the way, if you listen to the 30 for 30, which I have almost memorized in my head, is that Tony Holden did say, well, Tommy, I got a call from Don King. And he said, Tommy hasn't taken his blood test. I said, what? So I called Tommy. Tommy, take your blood test. Well, you told me not to do anything till you were here. I said, Tommy, take your stinking blood test. You can't. And that's when, according to that, then he arrives in Vegas. He sits down with the doctor ringside. Ringside's doctor tells him, and then we're off to the races with Tommy. And it's very sad to me that history, your work, fans like me, and he was my hero growing up. I mean, I'm 42. I just turned 42. He's been my hero for 30 plus years. And so we will continue to fight because people need to know you're not doing this for money. This is to restore your husband's legacy.
Yeah.
There's books out there. I unfortunately purchased one, read 3 pages of it, and then I returned it to Amazon, which I got it on discount. Called The Duke. And do not do this. I don't care. Whatever your name is, if you see this, it's trash. It was sensationalized and it was lies. I think the first page, what was it, Trisha? I read it to you. They had some famous quotes, and then he said, "So many blondes, so little time." Quote Tommy Morrison. If that's the first page before you even hit chapter 1, you know where this whole thing is going.
Yeah. Well, I have a picture of who you're talking about. All right. I don't know if you can see him.
Yeah.
All right. His name is Carlos, right? Mm-hmm. I think he has a boxing record of 0-0, right? And one of the things he mentions, and I know actually, I had a discussion with somebody on Twitter just yesterday, because he was saying that the best book he's ever read was this book about my husband, right? Mm-hmm. And I go, well, if you turn to page 166 of that book, I said, he has Dr. Pat Nemechek, who is a leading expert in the treatment of AIDS, right, is what this guy has written in his book. Mm-hmm. Well, Dr. Patrick Nemechek is not an expert witness in HIV/AIDS and cannot establish or provide a reliable opinion in this case. He is an osteopath and has never held board certification in immunology, pathology, neurology, or the subspecialty of infectious diseases, and has no experience conducting research into some of those matters. He has never seen a real live image of HIV. He is not board certified in any particular specialty at the moment. Before relocating to Arizona, he practiced medicine in Kansas, where for a time he focused on assisting individuals with weight loss. At some point in that prior time frame, Nemechek received a warning from the FDA regarding the adequacy of certain aspects of his study parameters. And yet the guy that's written the book on my husband labels this guy as a leading expert in the treatment of AIDS, right?
So I was sitting in a hotel room right outside of Boston, Massachusetts. The first time you and I talked, I actually had that book right there, and I think I brought it up to you. And then we started talking about this gentleman. I'm not going to give his name airtime. And we read the So Many Blondes, So Little Time, and then we went to the references. And you got to realize that it's probably not the source of truth when the references are the New York Post, National Enquirer, things, Wikipedia. If those are your resources for a published book, and by the way, if you don't believe anything we're saying, go read the reviews on Amazon. So he got
they're bad.
Back, by the way.
Good. Yeah, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee on Amazon. So read the book and then just send it back, right, for a full refund.
I don't even want that guy's trash in my head. So he got, yeah. But so one of the things and this was a blessing that Trisha, that you and I have, we've connected, is that, we want to, and I'm saying we, like I'm even on your level, but I want to help Trisha in this endeavor, and that, and I would love to have you back. I'm not putting you on the spot, but maybe I plan on having the new Tommy Morrison website ready by Sunday. If maybe we can get together and
Right.
we can unveil it together.
Right.
I would love to, because guys, I think you're really going to appreciate it, and it's paying respect. Every
Right.
second I was doing any of this stuff, I have a picture, and I've told Trisha about this. It's the same picture I look at Tommy, and I'm not trying to sound supernatural with this, but he's speaking to me. And so I do all this, what we do, is out of love for that man right there, and honoring his legacy. And so there's a lot of stuff. We're trying this I Am Tommy Morrison to reintroduce the world to the real Tommy Morrison, not the media portrayal. And this is just another step. If you want to, anybody, I implore you, not really implore you, but I would recommend going on YouTube. And Trisha, how many interviews have you done now? It seems like you are like one of the hottest interview guests now of basic combat sports, or anybody that has a podcast or a show. You're on it, and you're getting published.
Yeah.
What was the magazine that finally? What was it?
Yeah, one of the biggest world boxing news in the UK, that has a big following. They finally published, December 21, 2022, which is an exciting moment. Because you know what, on December 21, 2013, just after Tommy had died, that was when the physician in Vegas said, I never diagnosed Tommy with HIV. So it's almost a pretty historic moment that the media should now start actually giving out the true information. And it's all supported in court records, right? Which is the beauty of it. And people are talking about it. Fans are actually saying, hey, no, watch this link, right? Or no, he didn't die of HIV AIDS. This is what happened. So I'm excited because Tommy's finally, his fans are fighting for him, which is what he wanted. Yeah. And I'm excited about that.
And I love it. I love that the narrative is no longer Trisha Morrison, AIDS denier. It is, here's the proof. And that's, God bless you for having every single document to where nobody could call you a denier or a kook or whatever they were trying to paint you as. No, you're the one with the facts. They're the one with the false narrative. What did Tommy say? I think you've had it in one of your posts. What was it? What's done in the dark will become made light.
Every day, Brad, he would say, everything hidden in darkness will come to the light.
Yeah. And that was right after he said, so many blondes, so little time.
Yeah. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe he did say that, but I doubt it. But
I want to know where that. I should have. I wish I hadn't sent the book back now, because I want to look at where he got that quote from. Which is
actually, yeah.
So what are the next steps? What are other than some of the stuff that kind of, I hate that I'm lumping even myself, but the new website, we're doing some more promo things, and I'm doing my due diligence to try and get headway into. I would think that this would make a fantastic Netflix story, or a series, or just a big movie. And that's that's not the goal here, but I think it's to have his story told properly. With you as an advisor, I think that would be great. But what are your next steps?
Well, I think the next steps are actually, they're pretty exciting, and still a lot of work to do. But there's certain segments which need to come out of that ESPN 30 for 30, first of all, because probably they're slanderous. I do have some legal help coming on that. So that's a project that I'm still working on. With regards to a movie, it's horrible to show the pain and suffering of Tommy, what he went through, but people have to realize what he went through with all this, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it could happen to somebody else if it's not already happening to them, right?
Right.
And that's what his fear was, is he didn't want anybody to go through what he was going through. And unfortunately, I think some people are or have done, right? And then the new website and everything is just becoming exciting. Basically, people from all ages are now starting to get introduced to the real Tommy Morrison.
Yeah, my
And
son-in-law.
that's what he wanted.
My son-in-law, who is 25 years old, and ever since, he had seen all my memorabilia that I have of Tommy's. And by the way, my birthday present, by the way, Trisha, I have treasured that. I even saved the envelope people sent in. That was the best gift. Thank you. And that touched me so much because you said it was from you and Tommy, and that's it. So thank you. I want to say that publicly. But my son-in-law had really never heard of Tommy and just with my memorabilia, and he started to do his own. And he told me Christmas Day, he said, Brad, I never realized how much of a badass Tommy Morrison was. And if you ask George Foreman, Ray Mercer, or anybody got in the ring with Tommy Morrison, who the hardest hitter that he ever encountered was, it was him. Do you think, and this is a personal opinion, that Tommy will get into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, he will. He will get into a Hall of Fame. Yeah. It's funny because we went to Canastota, and there's a gift shop there, and there's kind of like a museum. And I have posted photos on Facebook, and he's standing against the wall, and he's pointing to a picture of him and George Foreman, and it's got at the top history in the making. And I'm just wandering around. He's going, hey, that's me up there. And he was so happy just even to be in the museum, right? But he will be in the Hall of Fame. I think mainly a lot of the Hall of Famers, it's political for them. But I think now that the story that's getting out there is that there was never a diagnosis of HIV, that his legacy will start to be brought back, right, to where it should be.
I watched a video, EA Sports. I think it was in 2010 or 11 when they did the fight night round 4 or and they had Tommy had a whole 5-minute I saved it on my computer. I'm going to share it out on my social media. It's I don't know. It'll bring a tear to your eye. And that I'm not saying you have to be a Tommy Morrison. I'm not going to call myself a fanatic fan, but it'll hit you there just because he's thin and he's talking but he's in his eyes, he's remembering the roar of the crowd. He's telling the stories, and you just it breaks your heart because they took this man's passion away from him in 96. And so, that's what gets me. But I encourage anybody to go watch Rocky V, because if you don't think Tommy Gunn was not a badass, he was. And so he is, it's something to check it out. So Trisha, is there anything that you want to leave us with, or we can, we want to end on a high note, I guess?
It's funny with the video game, the EA Sports video game, right? You should have seen him play it, right? He had no idea how to work that thing, right, to get him to win. And we did a fundraiser for a kid that was terminally ill, and was never going to be able to get in the ring himself, right? And so they were both on the same par. Tommy couldn't get in the ring, right? He was banned for life. This little kid couldn't get in the ring. So what other way could they fight? They could fight on EA Sports, right? Fight night round 4, fight night round 5, I think it was.
Yeah.
So we set up this little foundation evening, which was a fundraiser for this kid, and the big screen there. and it was Tommy on the screen, right, with this little kid on the screen. And after 3 rounds, the little kid knocks Tommy out, right? And he just loved it. But at the same time, he was looking at this kid that was going like this with his fingers and moving himself around and punching Tommy on screen. And Tommy was going, oh my goodness, what's wrong with this kid, right? And then that was it. He was down, right? Out for the count. But it just goes to show, his legacy is in video games, right?
Yeah.
It's in the movies, Rocky 5. A lot of people are falling in love again with Rocky 5, right? The next thing that's missing is kind of like a Netflix documentary thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have people that are working on that with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice, and it's exactly what Tommy would want out there, right? So if anybody that's listening to this, I'm sure below us will be an old video from 9 months ago or even 10 years ago with millions and millions of views. But the real truth is actually what you're listening to right now. I think that's what's going to be real important.
Yeah. And it's all about, it's just about reintroducing people.
Yeah.
That's what we're calling it. We're just in case you forgot who the heck that man was, we're going to reintroduce you to the Duke.
Yeah.
And I will say this.
You can't forget him, Brad. You just can't forget him, because every Christmas, Rocky 5 comes out in every country in the world, right?
Yeah.
They do a director's cut. I hope they don't cut Tommy out. So we'll see.
Yeah, and the people don't believe. First acting gig, and also it was also, he's 21 at the time.
20, yeah, 21.
21. I mean, and he was a natural. And also, ladies and gentlemen that watch this, there are Rocky action figures, and there are multiple versions of Tommy Gunn action figures, which are good collectors, and they're very expensive, by the way. And if anybody has Xbox Game Pass on their play, you can get Fight Night Round 4, which I discovered, and I got knocked out by my 6-year-old, the same manner that Tommy did. He was Tyson, I was Tommy. I got knocked out in less than 45 seconds.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But it's cool that I get to reintroduce Tommy to a 6-year-old too. So he knows more about Tommy Morrison than anybody around here.
And that's great. That's what he would want. And just one other thing, let's leave on, is drug rehab. Yeah. Right. This was so important to Tommy. Yeah. And it's something that people still say, oh, his demons and everything. If you've been given a death sentence, yeah. He said the reason why he went to drugs is to fill a void. Right. Mm-hmm. And he almost gave up on himself. People were waiting for when he would destroy himself and commit suicide, basically. And then he turned it around. And this is just one of his drug test results, right? I don't know if you can see it, but, hey, I'll be happy to email it to anybody. Negative for cocaine, negative for this, negative for that. So he did it. He went to drug rehab. He did it. Okay, he gave me a hard time a little bit, right? But I drove him there and picked him up and drove him back again, and we did it. And the very first test result that he had that was negative, he made a copy for the bedroom, a copy for the fridge, a copy for the car, right? A copy for the gym, a copy for his pocket.
I love that. That makes me smile. And he was proud of it. I mean, he probably was just as proud of that as anything else.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's So one, I know. All right, we will draw this. I'm talking. The first night I talked to this wonderful woman right here at 1 hour 34 minutes. First conversation.
Oh my God.
We could go.
I've got more and more and more stuff here for you.
Oh, let's keep going. So I got being in politics. I got a letter from the state of Tennessee for 2023. What are some of the initiatives, or what is they call it a statement of interest, that I have to fill out, some platforms and things that I want to support and that nature. And my biggest thing, so I've told you this too, in January of 2012, I was homeless, living in my car, and drank myself into homelessness. And April 8th of this coming up year will be 11 years completely sober. I've been in the rehabs. I've been in halfway houses. I've been arrested 13 times. And I have, when I hear Tommy, I've been where Tommy was with being proud to say, I'm drug free or whatever. And to, so it's something that's really touched me. I'm actually working with the Tennessee Department of Workforce Development and Reentry to get these guys who are in halfway houses, who are in court-appointed rehabs, or to find them long-term help, and to get them the proper skills to, resume building, Excel spreadsheets, that just Microsoft Office, the things that they don't have. So when they come out of these places, they're not going to, not going to a gas station or going back to the streets to sling drugs. They have skills that they can carry them on. And that's what my statement of interest, that's what I'm working with the local, I'm not trying to get a platform here, but I'm saying I'm working with the local mental health facility and the local halfway house and trying to have some grant money coming to build up awareness of the opioid crisis that we have going on here and the importance of rehabilitation the proper way, not just, hey, you did your 30 days. Hey, good job. No, it's long-term. It's long-term sustainability. So that's funny that you brought that up. I didn't mean to get on the soapbox on that.
No, that's good, because actually drug rehab for Tommy was in Tennessee. So that was really important actually for
Where was it? I've probably been there.
Sevierville, Sevierville, Tennessee,
Okay. And that is where he also the incarceration. There's where he. Do we want to go into why he was even incarcerated? We just.
Well, he was incarcerated over an $80 unpaid fine from South Dakota from 2006. So everything that he went through in jail in Sevierville, everything that he went through in jail in Wichita, actually got dismissed about 4 or 5 months later. So.
And I hate that picture, that image that they have of him after the 30 days is the one that everybody ran with, that Tommy Morrison's downfall, and they used that as. And I love the story that you told me. As soon as he did get out, the first stop he wanted to do was to Walgreens to get a razor and the shaving cream. He
wanted shaving cream, cell phone charger, and everything, because he didn't want to look like that, right?
Yeah. But well, that's not the memory you have and I have and his fans have, and we're going to paint this. We're going to flip this script on everybody. So we have a lot to look forward to in the future as it pertains to Tommy the Duke Morrison, 2-time heavyweight champion, Hollywood actor, great guy who loved his fans. He has a great wife who's fighting for him still, who's not doing this for money, who is doing this to restore a legacy. And we're going to right some wrongs here. So. Trisha, I guess if we can make the time Sunday or Monday for a big reveal, I'm going to send it to you, the new website that we will reveal to everybody where the new TommyTheDukeMorrison.com, and just so much stuff, guys, coming up. And we want to reintroduce you to Tommy, the real Tommy.
Yeah, we do. And there's just so much more that we could talk about. Not only the sweet science and the real science, there's violation of the statutes in Vegas, all kinds of stuff. But that's stuff that you'll hear about, I'm sure, in whatever movie, right, comes out.
Well, that too, and we might even add a section to the website where we can just do little snippets of these little stories, and it doesn't have to be long form. And we just boom, and everybody can find this as a source of truth, because the source of truth is the wonderful lady that I'm talking to right now. And I want
to leave you with, because I spent time doing this last night, right? So even though I've been in this for 10 years, I'm still in the fight, right? But here, I hope you can see all this. These are all lab reports, test results, right? And in addition to all the faces that I've shown you of people that didn't find HIV or any AIDS diseases, these are people that found no malignant cells, no viral inclusions, right? And I'm going to show you, and I'm going to carry on and show you every single picture, right? Okay. Every single picture. They're people that work in the medical field that did testing, found no malignancies. Some of these guys, some of these are practitioners, but they've all got their names on these test results, right, that I've got, and is proof, right, that these people also were searching for the virus, right? Men, women, okay, medical directors from all parts of the world. These are all people that were trying to find some malignancy in Tommy, right? And I kid you not, this took a while last night because I wanted to make sure that these were not conspiracy theorists, right? Okay, but these are all people well educated, and I'm sure that they're just going to love to have their photos on Tommy's website, right, with their names and with the test result of what they tested Tommy for. And we're talking about cerebral spine fluid, we're talking about tissues, we're talking about blood, we're talking about going into the lungs, right? And another lady right here. I just love it. I mean, I just love finding all this proof. I had no idea that all this existed in these court records. And, you know, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a physician, but basically they did the work for me, right? And I can't wait for this to go up on that website.
Yep.
And they shouldn't have a problem. You know, the test results are signed right there from these guys. Okay. One more thing, Brad.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Before you go, and you can always cut this interview down and make it into small parts, right? But you are, I believe the other night you went into a legislative meeting, right? Mm-hmm. You're in politics, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so, all right, so somebody says, okay, well, if he didn't have HIV, didn't have AIDS, mm-hmm. and nobody diagnosed him in Vegas, and they're saying that in court records, why was he kicked out of boxing, but then reinstated again, right? But why was he kicked out of boxing? Well, in docket 140, right, page 15, it said Morrison failed to comply with NAC 467.027 section 3, right? And as a result was not issued a license. Okay, so this is the commission saying he failed a statute, which for those that don't know anything about statute, it's a law, and the Nevada Commission has to abide by the laws and statutes in their licensing. And it's called the Administrative Procedures Act, the APA Act, where you have to take the new policies and rules to the legislator in that state. You have to have a meeting. You probably know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. I didn't know what I was talking about before. You have to have a meeting. You have to propose the new law. For example, drawing blood. You have to propose that. It has to be issued out there for the public to comment on. And then it has to be approved by the legislator. And then it has to be enacted and approved in the legislative papers, right? Mm-hmm. So I never knew anything about that, right? And so throughout the lawsuit, suddenly this that he violated a statute. And I'm sitting in Tommy's room and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you know, I'm just really curious about when that statute was enacted. So I had to do further research on the legal side of stuff. And I had to contact the legislator in Nevada and also the library that holds certain information on laws and stuff like that. And then I had to pay for a legal document, which is this with like a little seal on there, right? Stamped from the legislator. And they were kind enough to send me, when I purchased, the meetings of the meeting, right? Which is all these pages, and you can see I've marked some pages, right? And so they sent me this, and basically what I wanted to know was the law that they said that Tommy had violated, NAC 467.027 Section 3 and Section 3B, did that exist on February 10th, 1996? And the answer was no, it did not exist. It did not even get proposed until 1997 and did not get approved until December 29th, 1997. So they're saying that they kicked him out because of that law, but it didn't exist. And so that's what took me back again to federal court and to the appellate court and the Supreme Court. Was they lied in court saying that a statute existed when it didn't exist. So their answer to the judge, and bear in mind this was the fourth judge on the case, right? The others had recused themselves, but Judge Richard Bulwer stuck it out, right? And in docket 318, page 5, line 4, the commission write, there was no reason to research the history of the regulation. In other words, so what, right, if it didn't exist? So that was really disappointing that the judge did not catch them on something. So basically what he did was he actually put into force an ex post facto law, which means that Tommy violated a law that didn't exist, right? But so what the judge did was he made a law that came out over a year later and did it retroactive to 1996. And that is a violation. That's a constitutional violation, right? Now, not in addition to that law that they said that he broke, they then said to me, oh, well, we can throw him out because of this law. We can mention that he's got HIV because of this law. They listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other laws. One didn't come out until 1999. Another one didn't come out until 1999. Then 467.100 Section 3 didn't come out until 2003. And then the other two until 1997. So throughout this whole lawsuit, they were using laws against me that never existed. How does that work? How is that allowed to happen is what I would like to know.
And they banned your husband for something that wasn't even in existence. Then February, we're talking February 96, it doesn't even come into existence till December of 97.
Right.
Called out to the judge, who then says, mind your business, and retroactively goes back and changes it. And there is
gets over it.
This is infuriating. Matter of fact, I'm going to flip this right to the front. What can be done? Because I'm sure I have plenty of lawyer friends around here who are going to see this and salivate over this. Is there still action that can be taken over this? Because the man's livelihood, had this not happened in 96, we might not be talking about him in the past tense in 2023, 22.
Right. Well, what can happen? Well, let me just read you something. Okay, let me read this to you because this is pretty important. And this is something that I pulled out from the LA Times in 1996 on February 14th. Okay. Bill Eastman, chairman of the California Athletic Commission, does not think something should be taken. Morrison had been scheduled to fight Saturday night in Las Vegas, but when his HIV test was positive, which we now know was not, right, he was suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, which had administered the test. That would not have been this case in California, which does not require fighters to take an HIV test. Now, this is the next part that's real important. Every time it comes up, Eastman said, and Eastman is the chair of the California Athletic Commission, the politicians scatter like cockroaches under a light, are afraid of not being politically correct. I've been trying to get legislation passed for this test for 3 years. We have actively sought an author for such a bill, but we haven't been able to find one. So California knew then that they had to, in order to have somebody test HIV, they had to pass it through the legislature, right? Well, now we know that Nevada never even passed it through the legislature and was requiring it. But not only that, right? He says it is only that suspension, the suspension in Nevada, which allows the California Commission to keep Morrison from fighting in this state, Eastman said. If the California Commission had received the information on Morrison on its own, Eastman said it could not legally have stopped Morrison from fighting here. So essentially, Nevada's suspension, which got lifted 10 years later, made the other states not accept him, even though there was no HIV testing passed by the legislature, neither in Nevada or in any other state. And I can bet you that a lot of the states have enacted HIV testing without legislative approval, right? Now, the reason why they enact HIV testing is because they want, obviously, for the health and safety of a boxer, right? They want a lab report, right? Which shows that the boxer has or has not HIV, right? That's what they're asking for. I mean, that's the only piece of evidence that they have in that case is that lab report. Well, let's go back now to the medical science. Quest Diagnostics has never contended that its laboratory test reports are confirmation of a definitive diagnosis of the presence of HIV. Nor has Quest Diagnostics ever contended that the Nevada State Athletic Commission should accept a lab test result as a confirmation of a definitive diagnosis of any disease or condition, including HIV.
I don't know if we clarified this. What was the statute that he violated? What was the verbiage?
It was NAC 467.027 section 3B, and that was he violated because he did not provide a lab report, right, which showed whether he had or did not have HIV. And yet you go to the lab, they're saying our lab report doesn't even do that.
In 2006, when they reinstated him on the low, just under the cover of night, what was the rationale they gave them?
They actually did it that basically they were taking test results, the pre-fight medical test results, and putting him down as license denied. Right now, this is 2006. Now, when you deny somebody a license, that's only valid for 1 year. It's not valid forever. So really, in 2006, when they changed it to license denied, what was he denied? Why did they deny him? Well, then I went in to find out they denied it because he broke a law. Okay, well, what law? This law. Okay, well, when was that enacted? That wasn't enacted till 97. So it's like, are you crazy?
If y'all don't think that the boxing commission or there's no corruption going on, this is so. You know what? We never talked about this. I mean, I'm glad we are. This is infuriating. This is. I mean, it's a travesty, but it's such a violation, and they ruined man's life.
Yeah, Tommy said, he always said, I have a higher purpose. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's not boxing. And he always would say it. So was his higher purpose to expose the testing, to expose the law, to expose the greed? You know, what was it? Right. And we're getting closer and closer together. Because right now, what's being exposed is the fake news media, right? So, for example, this woman, Elizabeth Merrill, right, who's on ESPN 30 for 30.
Fantastic
right?
Picture, by the way.
It's a real picture. I didn't yellow it or anything like that. She is the one that is saying all over the mass media and ESPN 30 for 30, since February 10th, 1996, when the Nevada Athletic Commission said Morrison tested positive for HIV before a fight, the 44-year-old has spent most of his days dodging the diagnosis. Right? She is the one saying that it's a diagnosis, right?
That's a rough one.
Court records to Mark Ratner himself, the one that supposedly told Tony Holden, a question that he answered was, admit in your capacity as agent, servant, and or employee of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the Nevada Athletic Commission did not say Tommy tested positive for HIV before the fight on February 10th, 1996 in Las Vegas. And he responds, admit. He never did. Right?
You know, on that 30, that lady that you just showed, she got more airplay than you did.
She did. And you know what? It's going to come to bite her because she's responsible for saying there was a diagnosis made. Okay. And she has done that publicly, and it's on video, and it's actually in media, social media. It's everywhere. She's pretty much responsible for that diagnosis, right?
Woo! Man, we were getting ready to say the goodbyes, and my blood pressure, I don't even have blood pressure problems, is up.
Brad, there's just so much to this story. You know, when I promised Tommy I would finish his fight, I had no idea that I would unravel all this. No idea.
Now, was Tommy, I know I mean, everything that all the interviews that I poured through that he did, and when he would bring this up, he's saying all the things that I was supposed to have, all the things that were supposed to happen to me,
right?
They haven't happened. And I keep, I'm in the best shape. I mean, I will add that into this. You have my word of some photo shoots that he had done from 2010 where this man was supposed to be, sick and dying. And it just goes to show you when they want whatever, he who controls the media controls the narrative. He who controls the narrative controls the mindset of the populace. And, we're gonna fight this. I hope that anybody that's watching this, if this angers you, if they're gonna go through this link for Tommy Morrison, boxer, what else would they go through to mold the narrative? So, Trisha, you're doing you're doing God's work. You're doing Tommy's work, and you're doing God's work. And this isn't going to be the only interview you and I are doing. Matter of fact, I might just rename this whole thing to Trisha time.
No, not my time. No.
But we're going to add these little snippets and these little. We'll get together more frequently and add these snippets to the website and just highlight.
Right.
This is everything relating to boxing corruption or whatever media corruption and the crazy.
It's every question answered. Everybody has a question, which I'm glad they're asking, but we're answering every question that's out there.
Yeah.
Did he have HIV/AIDS? No. What did he break the rule? No. How did he die? Okay, this is how he died. Okay, why haven't we seen this? Because it was completely deleted from ESPN 30 for 30, right? So we've done it the proper way. We've followed the science the way Fauci says we're supposed to, right? We're doing the testing. We've got proper people in place. We're not going by a mother's diagnosis or Elizabeth Merrill from ESPN 30 for 30 diagnosis. We're doing everything scientifically correct, right? Because Tommy deserved that. And I honestly think that this could be happening to somebody else.
Absolutely. Well, I just want anybody that watches this. I have zero to give, and I will promote this, and I will sing it to the rooftops to fight this. So, try to take me out of office. You ain't gonna do it because I'm fighting. I got truth right here with me. So, good luck.
Yeah.
But we got such a long. I mean, you've done the legwork. You and I have a long partnership with this, and I am so excited to do it. And I'm literally like my hand's shaking right now. I'm so mad with what you just showed me, and that is it's just so wrong. It's just, why would people do that? I mean, I know what would make a journalist go, or anybody. What would be their rationale? And I don't know if it's their 5 minutes of fame. Who knows? But Trisha, life worth living. You are living a life worth living. You're doing so many good things. I could not have named this show anything better. Not that I am so great. I just you're doing something that is very noble for a man who had a life worth living and has a legion of fans that. And you know what? We're reintroducing them to new fans, and we're exposing a lot of corruption. He didn't want anybody.
He didn't want anybody to give up on him. All the years that he was in those darkest years, a lot of people gave up on him, and I promised I would never do that. And I'm glad you're not doing that too.
No, I have that one picture I showed you that on my computer. That every time I want to go an extra hour, I'm working on this and this for Tommy. It's for him. And so, listen, I've been looking at that right there for 2 years, and all this back here for forever. And he's my hero that passed away from AIDS in 2013. That's what 30 for 30 told me. And then his crazy wacko AIDS denying wife came out with the truth. You literally, I cannot. The impressive part, the reason I'm smiling every time we'll go back and look at this, you would come up with documents after documents, and I'm smiling because anytime that they would try to stonewall you or somebody could come at you with anything, I got doctor after doctor after doctor. Oh, you think he didn't die of sepsis? Watch this. This is all the gauze that came out. Oh, you don't think he was railroaded in 96? Here's the documentation that shows that they retroactively made a law.
Yeah.
You're inspiring.
Yeah.
Trisha, thank you. I've actually got to go. I'm going to go now and have today's my wife's birthday. We're going to go have dinner tonight, and thank you for working around that.
Yeah. Happy birthday to her. That's nice. I saw those pictures. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. And I will be in touch soon. And if you need anything more from me, well, I'll probably be calling you later. So when this is ready, I'm going to shoot this over to you. And y'all look forward to she and I connecting soon. And we're going to show you all the new website because big things are happening.
All right. Good deal. Well, you know what? I really appreciate it. And you're one of the ones that's fighting for Tommy. You're one of the people that he was thinking about way back in 2011 on our porch in Tennessee. And here you are in Tennessee fighting for him. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, those people in Sevierville, that's Middle Tennessee. We don't mess with them.
Yeah.
Patricia, have a blessed evening, and I will be in touch very soon, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brad. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.